Hey everybody, today's project on the Golf GT3, or GT3 RS I should say, is to do the battery. I bought an anti-gravity for it. This will save us about, I think it knocks off about 40 pounds off the car. I'm not as concerned about the weight loss as I am about just the maintainability of this. In this car, I've got a bunch of cars and this is my baby, so it sits oftentimes for a week straight without getting started or longer. And so having a lithium-ion battery is just so much easier to manage than dealing with a nickel metal hydride or a traditional style battery. Plus, you know, we're gonna save like 40 pounds on it. So they don't normally come like this, but I debadge it because I only think it looks cooler. I always leave the part on the top so I can remind myself what version I have. But this is a Group H6, so the size for a 911. And then this is the biggest version they make, which is the 60 amp hour. I've done smaller versions or capacities of the battery and they seem to work well, but I don't see, you know, cost of $100 more to get the biggest capacity. And I've had such great success with these batteries for a number of years. My Evo doesn't have one because that has a little mini battery, but my E92 has it, the E36 had it. You know, pretty much every car I've ever had, I try to swap with an anti-gravity battery. They do. I think they're great. I'm not sponsored. I buy them right from their website. Maybe I should be sponsored because I've probably sold a lot of these for them. I made lots of videos on these over the years. But anyway, I just polished the PPF. I'm about to head out of town for 10 days. I had just tried to start the car and the battery was already dead. So I figured this takes a few minutes to do. You know, knock on wood, this takes a few minutes to do. So I'm gonna swap it out really quickly. So, and then I'm gonna cover the car and let it sit. And when I come back, I need to put the coating on the PPF. And then we'll do the wheels and some of the other stuff, some of the interior parts, radar tech and stuff like that. So the other thing you're gonna want, and I don't have to use it as often with a lithium ion, especially the anti-gravities, because see this little button on the top here? This little push button is the reserve button. So there's, you know, some sophisticated circuitry in here that gives us or affords us the ability to, it creates like a little secondary storage section. So rather than it going completely dead, almost always you can either push the button or you have the little key fob, and the key fob will sort of give you enough to at least start it up, and then the battery tends to charge up pretty quickly by the alternator as you drive around. So putting on a tender isn't as necessary because the lithium ion, if it does go dead, it doesn't tend to, in my experience, damage the battery as much as a traditional, you know, lead acid or nickel metal hydride type battery. So I guess the one in the car is probably a lead acid. And we'll read the thing on when we take it out. But if you do want to trickle charge, this is the C-Tech Lithium, which is what Antigravity recommends. I apparently already had one of these. It was actually in the bottom of my car cover. I guess I'm becoming a hoarder. I got more stuff than I even know that I have. Normally I could tell you exactly what I have, you know, sitting around. So the lithium comes with this little pigtail, but you need the longer pigtail. I didn't order it because the car already has the longer pigtail, so we're gonna take that off and rewire it and make it quite a bit prettier. So let's get started. All right, this is a pretty simple deal. First thing we need to do, I'm gonna take out my little bin here because I'm probably end up standing in here, protect my lower back. This thing is pretty sweet. If you've never gotten one of these trays, if you have a 911, I think it's pretty awesome. They're like 150 bucks. And just makes your front trunk look quite a bit cleaner. So I always do this and get inside of here. I'm gonna detach this here. I'm gonna run this quite a bit nicer than the way it's currently set up. I got a little zip tie right here. So you can buy this C-Tech little whip here. This little whip is longer. There we go. Okay, so you can see it's quite a bit longer. We don't need it to be this long, but we need it to be a little bit longer than the little whip that comes with it. Go, 13 mil. this cover off. It's easier to take this thing off too. I think it's a little T20. You can reach in there, but if I remember correctly, it's easier to just take this thing off. There's 3 T20s. I'll just sit that right there. And take this other 13 off. Getting pretty close to getting all of my new tool setup done. So I'll be swapping all these tools. For my new Knipex Koken Hazet Stavella, my new fancy setup. Right out. You could just skip this, putting this back in. I might. Let's see. Because we don't have the weight anymore. So now I need to deal with this 13 millimeter there to hold the battery in place. This little guy. Now the battery's ready to come out. Give me enough room to get my positive off. The flathead to spread it out a little bit. There we go. Battery terminal is a little mangled. Okay, I can lift this big sucker out of here. Yeah, that's heavy. I'll swap these two. Positive goes in this way. We'll take this, actually, I'm going to transplant this sticker. We'll leave it alone because these are backwards. And then it does come with a couple of these, but I don't think that's going to help hold anything on. I guess maybe it would. I would need some sort of washer for this. I think it came with it. I may have tossed it. Let me see here. I've got a washer that might work. This is the Lista drawer organization system. I think that'll actually work best. Man, what a difference it is to lift this battery up and put it in place. I think before I do this, I'm gonna clean this up a bit. So this is McKee's N914. Always take an opportunity to clean something up. We always do this, and everything always stays clean. Yep, that looks pretty now. Okay, I think this guy, that's the negative side. Got a remarkable difference in size and weight. Yeah. Put that on. place. And then wipe this guy off. And so, I guess this battery is the same width. I'm using the same hole. Okay. Let's lock this down. Battery's not going anywhere that way. Okay, looking good there. I'm gonna deal with all this. I'm gonna have it come out this side rather than that side. So we don't need this. Just throw that away. I do need to lock this back on. This will help lock it in place. I don't think it's necessary, but certainly can't hurt. This is a 14. That'll just make sure that the battery terminal doesn't squirt upwards. Not that it's going to, but it can't hurt. Make sure that this sucker is on. Looks good. Let me loosen this guy up. That's nice and tight. Okay. Battery's looking good. Solid. Got our little whip back here, tucked away so it doesn't make a mess. And let me put my bracket back on. So this little safety bracket here. Largely unnecessary, but in case of an accident, it'll prevent the battery from shooting out of the car. Doesn't that look pretty? Save about 40 pounds. I can still push my finger in there if I needed to. So save a bunch of weight. And I gain functionality for a car that's not my main car. Now the battery is what, 950 bucks, so it's a lot of money. I get that. But the car is a lot of money too, so I think it stinks is now I have a however expensive that Porsche battery is. Make sure it's tight so it doesn't vibrate. That looks pretty sweet, don't you think? Maybe we can clean this up here. Let's put this guy back in. What you doing?
Are you videoing?
Always. Are you videoing?
No.
You coming to be my assistant? Oh, that's not the right one.
What are you doing?
I'm changing this battery.
No.
this one appears a different size. Love how everything Porsche goes back together exactly the way it came apart. Can't say that same thing about every car. There's the horn. Everything's clean. The little pump back in place. Cover back on. The air filter looks clean. It said on the documentation that it had just been changed, so I shouldn't have to mess with that. The shock tower is a little dusty here. Unfortunately, I would say I'm finally close to a position now in life where I can buy new cars. The problem is I don't want new cars anymore. Most of the new cars I don't like them. So that means I have to take these old cars that I find that most people don't care for the way I would care for it and have to do this extra work. But I guess it's kind of fun. Let's see here. So I got all this excess that I don't need. I'll probably also use the one that I've been using on the 992. I was using the accessory power quite a bit. So the accessory power inside the car. So if I bring this back here like this, and bring this around, and the whip's going to come up like right here. So that'll be pretty good then, like so. That nice and flush. And this bundle can go down below where you don't see it. And bring this around here. And then that should sit right about here. Let's wipe off all this here. Just wiping off all this. So it needs to come down further. It needs to come down to here. So pull a little bit. If I remember correctly, I always zip tied it to this. What the heck I was doing wrong there? The thing normally just pops in place. Then I got my little whip. This normally comes with it on there, but let me see if I can squeeze this thing over top. It's going to be difficult. And so being able to put this on is a nice thing to have, like that. So then, get all my tools out of here. I want to vacuum this a little bit. If you haven't seen my vacuum, this thing is freaking awesome. So I've got a Idaho system, instant on. If you can't do the hide hose, you can still do a regular setup. And the vacuum, so my vacuum's in my attic. But you can do the hose reel setup and have a really great vacuuming experience. Just go to accessgarage.com, I have it on there. This works great in here. This is the from Buff Bright, the fur eel, which is helpful for animal fur, which I don't have, but it helps on this kind of carpet. And then the coolest part about this nice. Okay, that was a nice little project. Now I got my battery here. I'll take the other battery over to Advanced Auto or AutoZone, one or the other. I got them right next to each other. Doesn't that thing look good or what? And so then, normally I would park this car to the far right of the garage, but since I have it here, what I'm gonna do is plug it in. I'm gonna take a pluffle right here. I'm gonna plug this guy in, like so. Boom. I'm gonna take this, leave it open like that, and I'm gonna plug it in. All right, there we go. So I got the trickle charger on underneath the car cover with the towel underneath it, plugged into there for now until I switch positions of the two cars. But I'm headed for Boise, Idaho for 10 days with a rag company, work on a project. So I got the car sitting here, and then I'll come back, I'll take the cover off, and I'll coat it. This is the old Y-Stock, which is, of course, this is not a Y-Stock car. This matched my white one, my white dot 2. But I tried selling this, but this car cover was a lot of money. And so I never sold it, thinking I'd get an RS someday. So it works. Indoor only car cover. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you on the next episode.